Right, perfect. We are recording. Yay. Oh, click, click, click. Get yourself sorted. You're fine. Cool. So just while, sorry, it's fine. Just while Amanda's getting herself sorted, we're just going to take a moment just to, as we do with any yoga practice, just connect with the breath, just see how you feel. Allow the spine to lengthen, maybe a little bit of movement in the neck if you need, just to settle. And I'm going to take just a couple of gentle twists. I've been driving and sitting, and I'm just taking a moment just to bring yourself into the practice. So welcome. A lot of tonight's practice is about really engaging the core. So we're going to hold some of the poses, and then there's a little bit of repetitive movement in the poses to just bring that kind of strength element into the practice. So I'm just going to get this to a level that I can cope with. So we're going to start in tabletop. And we're just going to take a moment in tabletop just to feel the mat and allow ourselves to push away from the mat. Pushing away from the mat. So we're not doing cat-cow here at all. We're just taking a moment just to push away and then settle. Not so the shoulder blades are coming together, but just you've got a firm kind of shoulder to shoulder. You can just feel firmness across the shoulders. And I want you to inhale. And on the exhale, I want you to draw the core in. I'm just going to sync the breath. So inhale, release the belly. Exhale, draw the core in. Inhale, release the breath. Exhale, draw the core in. Last one, inhale. And exhale, core comes in. Just taking a moment just to give the wrist a little bit of a shake. Come seated back on your heels. That doesn't make sense at all. You know what I mean? I've come from work. So this is quite an unusual thing for me. So I'm like, right, work, yoga. That movement that we're doing there, we don't hold our core in all the time in yoga, but what we do, we anticipate movement. So especially in power yoga classes where we want real strength in the body and we want real support in the core, so we protect the lower back and we protect the body. That breath, that inhale, and then the exhale to draw the core in will help you kind of lock some of the poses. So we're not always locking the core. And I will give you those tips tonight as we go through the movement. So when I say inhale and then the exhale, you know, to draw that core gently in. And then you release it. You're using it and you'll subconsciously start to use that quite a bit in your yoga practice if you keep practicing it. So we're going to come back to tabletop. And we're going to take that slightly different cat-cow. So when we come to cow, we're going to lift the heels, squeeze the heels in, take the gaze forward. And as we come into cat, we're going to exhale, draw that core right in just like we did and hover the knees. Gaze is down between the thumbs. So we inhale, drop the belly, look forwards, draw the heels towards you. And exhale, round the spine. And really draw that core in and really arch the back and bring the chin into the chest. Inhaling. And now just go in your own time for a couple of rounds. So inhaling, bring those heels right into the glutes. Exhaling, hover the knees. Draw the core right up and in. So you should really start to feel it, start working. Just take a couple more rounds of the inhales and the exhales. And then just come to that flat back position. Now we're going to come to something that's got a really odd name. It's called bird dog. So really it's a balance. And again, what we're going to do, we're going to support. So really claw into the mat, spreading the fingers. It's just remind ourselves about protecting those wrists, clawing into fingers. You can always come to fists if hands are not liking it, or you can come to spider hands as well. So there's lots of options. Often you'll see me come to my kind of fingertips, just protects the wrist a little bit, change it up. We're going to extend a leg out the back and really push and activate through that heel. You should feel all the way down the body. Now take the gaze in between the thumbs, or just slightly in front if it suits. And then we're going to opposite arm out, palm facing the side. Now really push now into the front of the foot that's supporting you at the back. Push away from the mat, lift the body. You can always just do the leg and not the hand if you need a modification. We're going to inhale here, and we're going to draw and squeeze the knee in and up, the heel towards the glute, knee towards the nose. Inhale, release. Exhale, round the spine. Draw that core up and in. Inhale, we release, we stretch. And exhale, we round. Inhale, release. And on this one, we draw in, we're going to count to 3. Really squeeze. 1, 2, 3, and release. Bring the hands down gently to the mat. Step that foot, doesn't matter which side, over your foot, and just take a little turn to look at your foot. You'll get a stretch all the way down the side body. Come back to tabletop. If you need a moment off the wrists, always come off the wrists. We're just warming up, so you can give them a little rub, adjust if you need, give them a shake. We're not going to be on the wrists all night, don't worry. And just, if you're pressing, if you've got your index finger facing the front of the mat, and you're kind of almost as if you're opening a jam jar, you're kind of corkscrewing the hands into the mat, you get a locking feeling. And you're pushing into the thumb, the fingertips, the knuckles here, just these knuckles underneath. I can't get my music right tonight. And that just allows us that grip on the mat. So opposite side now, we're going to extend the opposite leg long, push to the heel, so you're activating that. The leg is going to come out from the body, Gary. So bring that heel right down. Your one long line, that's it. So it's out from the body. Doesn't need to be high. Opposite hand balance. Excellent. Gaze is down, so the neck is now integral to the spine. It's an extension of the spine. Really reach through the foot and the heel, the hand. We're going to inhale and exhale, squeeze up and into the body. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we squeeze. Inhale, opening. Exhale, we squeeze. Inhale, we open. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, open. And now with the next exhale, we're going to hold. So exhale, draw into the body. You can still breathe here. Don't worry about holding the breath. But that core is retaining that strength. And then we're going to open, push back the leg, bring the hand down now. Draw the foot across to the other side and take a stretch. The further you go out with your foot, the more of a stretch you're going to get. Just be careful. Remember, it's about where you are comfy. All the way back to center. And we're going to push ourselves gently up into downward facing dog. So lifting the hips high into downward facing dog. Use that support in the hands. We're going to push away from the mat So we push the shoulders away from the hands. I want you to draw the core all the way up and into the belly, draw it all the way up and into the spine. Bend the knees, allow the hips to come high. I want you to push the arms as if you're pushing the triceps towards each other. So you're feeling support across the shoulders, and then allow length into the legs and allow the drishti, the gaze, towards the knees. Inhale and exhale here. Pedal the feet if you need, just taking a little bit of movement here. We're going to anchor the left foot. We're going to lift the right foot up into tripod. So keep the toes dialed down and see if you can keep the hip points facing forward. So the leg is maybe not so high. And then bend the knee and open the hip, giving yourself a little stacked hip opener here. Keep the weight even in the hands. Support the pose gently if you need with the core. Foot comes down, anchor the opposite foot, lift the opposite leg. Breathe, don't not breathe. Open the hip. Take a little stack back here. You can breathe, use the inhale and the exhale, drawing in that core, really activating core all the way through the practice tonight. And then bring both feet down, walk the hands towards you at the back of the mat. Allow yourself to come into forward fold. Bend the knees slightly if you need. Weight into the front of the feet. Hands to the elbows. And allow yourself just gently to sway, or allow the pose just to lengthen the back of the neck. Take some deep breaths here. We're going to inhale to flat back, hands to shins, straighten legs. Take the gaze forwards and long. Exhale, fold. We're going to interlace the hands behind us and just allow the hands just to raise up a little. Bend the knees if you've got any strain on the lower back at all. As if you're like kind of starting to sit into a skiing pose, and just release that if you need to. And then we're going to just gently release the hands, bring them to the hips. Okay, so bring the shoulder blades together, the elbows together, push through the feet, and lift yourself slowly all the way up. And jiggle about. Are you all right there, Gary? There wasn't a wince of that wasn't comfy. No. Oh, you're with me on that one today, right? So we're going to come to the front of the mat. Allow yourself just a moment here. We're going to inhale, lift. Now, as if you're holding a big beach ball, we're going to go over to the left-hand side. And slightly forwards if you need to soften it. Inhale. And across to the other side. Inhale. Exhale. It's nice big stretches. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale back to center. Interlace the thumbs. Take a real nice stretch through the front body. Sweep the hands gently behind you, interlace, bend the knees and fold on an exhale. Sweep the hands forward, plant the hands, step into plank. Bring the knees down if you need, just to soften plank. Elbows facing the back of the mat. And then either come down to cobra or into a low plank and an up dog. I'm going to come into cobra. Meeting in downward facing dog. Take a gaze to the front of the mat, step 2 back to that forward fold, head hanging. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Hands to the hips, push through the feet, lift yourself up, sweep the hands high. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, either hop or step to plank. Nice long plank, so bring the front body into the back body and then take a vinyasa of your choice. Might just go through a couple of vinyasas and then step to the front of the mat again. Hands to the hips, push through the feet, soften the knees, draw yourself all the way up. Should be feeling a little bit of heat. All different, everyone's different in where they are in yoga. But the vinyasa, just it's possibly a really good point to go through it. When we come to plank, so you've got lots of choices. That plank, keep the gaze to the front of the mat, push in. My hands actually should be stacked underneath my shoulders. Push into the heels, engage that core, and you'll see the kind of the front of the body lifting into the back of the body. Soften the pose if you need by bringing the knees down. If you've got a low plank coming down to chaturanga, please do. So I'm keeping the elbows towards the body, but I'm keeping them pointing to the back. So they're not squashed into the body and they're not out to the side. So if you're coming and playing with that low plank, chaturanga, that's absolutely fine. But we want to come all the way down to the mat to give you a rollover on the toes into up dog. If you're not sure that you've got that shoulder strength, which is perfectly fine, bring the knees if you want to, or come to little plank and then draw the knees and draw yourself down to Bhujangasana, or knees down and do that little snake effect, which is a nice one. So you're kind of pushing your hips back to go along. So there's lots of different ways which will take you into cobra. That's softer. Let's do some vinyasa. That's softer than a full high plank, low plank, and then up dog. But if you've got that practice, superb, that's fine. That's no problem. And if you're working towards it in the low plank, you can always pop your knees down if you think you're going to go smack on the mat. Okay, so never hurt your shoulders. So inhale, lift. Exhale, big swan dive. Bend the knees, engage the core, maybe hands come to the back of the legs. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step or hop to plank. Now, your choice in vinyasa, I'm going to bring my knees down. I'm going to do that little snake thing all the way through into cobra. That's it. And then I'm going to tuck the toes, lift the hips, draw myself all the way into downward facing dog. I'm going to come up and over into high plank, back into high plank, folks. Now, if you want to choose a different vinyasa, you can do. I'm going to come to a little chaturanga, but I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to drop my knees, which allows me to still come down into cobra. That's actually nearly got it. And then you come into downward facing dog. So choose where you want to be, up and over, playing with vinyasa. I'm going to drop into chaturanga, tuck my toes, up dog, thighs are off the mat, pushing that chest open. That's nice, Katrina. Really keep that chest open and then come into downward facing dog. Should be feeling quite warm now. And then step to the top of the mat. Allow yourself to hinge at the hips, draw yourself all the way up. Let me just check if anybody did get online. No. So, any questions on that vinyasa? Because you're getting nice heat here. Have you got a question, Joe? So when you come down to the mat, Joe, best thing to do is come to plank and then drop your knees. Now, push the hips back slightly as if you're just about to spring forwards. And then bend the elbows, scoop the nose all the way, lengthening behind us comes to cobra. Do you want to all try it? Just keep moving. So just play. No, it's fine. It's really good just to look at technique. So we go to plank. Tuck the knees down. Push the hips back a little. Bend the elbows, bring the nose forward, scoop it forwards as if you're a little snake into cobra. That's it. Hands forwards, elbows towards the side of the body. Tuck the toes, bend the knees, lift the hips. Allow yourself to come up to downward facing dog. Step to the top of the mat or the middle of the mat, draw yourself all the way up. It's a different version. Some of you will have it, and if you want a nice big stretch, you can just take a wrist and just gently play. If you've got water, feel free. Did that help, Joe? So you've got options there. No, there's no point powering through a class if we're all just doing different things. And that's why I say vinyasa is totally up to you. You can also just take a child's pose. So what we're going to do, we're going to, where are we going to go? Oh, I know where we're going to go. Bring the feet together like this one. Now, what I want you to do is really think about really rooting the feet and zipping up through the inner leg. So as you lift, the kneecaps should feel like they're lifting, and relax the shoulders. We're going to come to Utkatasana chair. Sweep the hands up and then sink down. What I want you to do now is I want you to engage that core again by an inhale and an exhale. Feel the tailbone. It might just tuck gently under as you exhale and draw the core in. And then lift the arms very slightly. So we're opening the chest. Inhale here, gaze can be forwards. Keep a moment here in chair. We're going to open the left arm. We're going to come to an open twist. That back arm, it doesn't need to be right back. It can be where that shoulder is comfy, or even to the hip. So we can modify this by hand in front, slicing through, and just opening the chest slightly if it's not comfy, the arm behind. Inhale, lift. Opposite side. So either hand to the hip, opening that chest a little, or open. Inhale, Utkatasana. Open that chest a little, sink a little deeper if you wish. Open twist on the other side. Inhale to center. Exhale, open. Another one, inhale to center. Exhale to open. Last time on the other side, inhale. Exhale. Inhale to chair. Lift the heels. Sweep the hands gently behind you. Take a moment here. Inhale, reach the hands forwards. They don't have to come high if your shoulder's complaining. They can come to cactus arms. Exhale, heels lift. Inhale, maybe cactus arms, heels down. Exhale. Inhale. And then lift all the way up. Hands to the heart. Take a moment if you need to shake the legs out, because I know that can be a little bit like, okay, that's fine. And we're just going to incorporate a little of that into a flow. So shoulders gently back, feet really feeling like they're grounding on the mat. Really feel that connection underneath. Excellent. Take a moment here. Inhale, Utkatasana. Chair pose again. I do love a chair pose. Take a moment here. And we're going to lift our right foot and hover just a little above the mat. It's about balance. So we're going to use our core here. Inhaling and exhaling. Feel that core just engage gently. Now we're going to stay on this left foot, standing foot, come to warrior three, forwards. If you need to put your foot down at all at any point, that's fine. You can keep it low at the back if you wish. You can use a wall if you wish. Hands can come to prayer. If it's too uncomfy, bringing the hands out all the time. So wherever you are comfy. What we're now going to do, we're going to lift, curl and crunch into the body. Feel that core. We're going to reach warrior three. We're going to exhale, crunch. Inhale, keep it low, adjust them and modify warrior three if you need to. And bring it in, crunch and curl. Lift, reach. And exhale, curl. Hold that curl. And we're going to step back to high lunge. Now watch your stance here, because we started off with feet close together. If you're really close to the center line, you're going to wobble a bit more. If your foot's slightly out, it gives you more of kind of stable base. So just wherever you are, hands to the heart. Now you can either stay here, reaching forwards into a high lunge pose, or we can do a little dip at the back. Now in high lunge, with the dip, I'm trying to keep the front knee fairly stable. So I'm using the movement at the back, hands on hips if you don't want to raise the arms. I'm moving the back knee rather than going forwards on my knee. It's not going to kill you, but we try to avoid repetitive movement where we're going over on that joint. That's all. Drop, hold maybe, and pulse here. Just a few times. And then we're going to open to warrior two. This is where you go, warrior two is a resting pose. No, it's not. Into warrior two. Really think about firm feet. Either you've got sort of options here. We're exploring this in yoga. You can pull the heels towards each other. Feel the inner thighs kind of engage, or you can push them away and you can feel different muscles engage. Nothing's wrong. Different muscles we're working in the same pose. Now we're going to push to Trikonasana, push through that front foot, straighten that leg, but engage the calf muscle. Back hand is going to just tuck into the waist, and we're going to slide into a bound triangle. Hover that hand, keep that top shoulder nice and open. That's it, Katrina. So open the ribs, shine the ribs. That's it, lovely. Excellent. Now, this is a challenge you can accept or not. We're going to step the back foot up. We're coming to half moon. So I'm going to draw my left hand just in front of me, and I'm going to step up that back leg, still in my little half moon. I'm in a half moon bind. If you've got a block, you can draw height into this, drawing yourself into half moon. So if you have a block, feel free to borrow one if you want. Do you want to try one, Joe?
I'll give it a go. Thank you.
I'll show you how to use it. So just use it, spider hands gently. You don't need to put lots of weight into it. Push through the standing leg. Push through the back. It's a really tricky pose. So if you're just working on it, and I would put your hand on your hip, Joe. That's it just for the moment. Just while, and your gaze is going to turn out towards the window. So Ian, your gaze will eventually turn out towards Joe. That's it. We can unpick. Just working, pushing through the heel. And maybe unpick that one in a minute. And then step to warrior two. Are you okay there, Amanda? You don't like that, so just change it up a bit. Come to warrior one, so your hips are forward. So we'll come to Virabhadrasana one. Take a vinyasa into plank. Your choice. Meeting in downward facing dog. Bring the knees down to the mat. Sweep the feet to the side. Come to seated and just take a moment. If you want, either in butterfly, if you're needing just to even up, or bring the knees into the chest, take a moment into a hug. It's fine. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do the other side in a minute. But good old boat pose. So allow, if you've got a block, this is a great one you can use. You don't have to, or a weight. We're going to come to boat pose, half boat pose. And either you can come to a low boat, to kind of the half boat, and just play, or you can thread the block or the weight. Slowly. Come up if you've got any pressure on your back at all. You can do toe taps. You can keep one foot just to make it slightly easier, modify for core. You don't even need the block. You can support your hands and you could be doing toe taps, still working the core lots. Hip flexors. The hip flexors are really the first thing to be actually strengthening here. And then our core is engaging, just we're using those muscles. And then just lift up, take a stretch. If you want to, coming down for a little rock and roll on the back can sometimes be quite nice, into a little twist. It's just incorporating movement into your practice that suits you. Watch your back if you've got a really thin mat. And we're going to come up to the top of the mat. We're not sat down yet. Oh, up to the top of the mat. We're just going to play on the other side. If half moon is not for you, Amanda, come into maybe a pose that is not opening the hip. So you can come to standing splits, keep it forwards. We'll give you the alternative. So inhale, chair. As we sink, we exhale. Take a moment here, hover the left foot. And then come to Virabhadrasana 3. If it's easier, bring hands into the heart, engage that core with an inhale and an exhale. Soften, Amanda, if the hip's bothering you, soften the knee, so you can come to slightly squat, warrior 3. And then draw the knee all the way up into the core. And come all the way forwards. Adjust this pose if you need. Exhale, core. Inhale. Exhale, so drawing. Inhale. And exhale. Last time, inhale. And exhale. If you lose your balance, just join us. I'm just about to as well. And then step back to high lunge. Now hands can come to the heart if you wish here, on the hips, if that helps you. Just think about engaging the core, opening the chest. And we take a little dip here. Lifting, pushing back into that heel, dip the knee. As we lift, we straighten the leg, push into the heel. We dip. Back into that high lunge. Slow movements. Then dip. Last one. Open to warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Inhale here. And exhale. Hand comes just gently behind you. Straighten that front leg by pushing into the heel. Keep that top body open. Drop as if you're dropping down a side of a wall, sliding, that's it, into a little bound triangle. Option if you have a half moon practice to come into that half moon, or if you don't, you want to just try something, you can come to just forwards, a little standing split. So you can come forwards, hands come on the mat, and it just allows you to keep that pose forwards, or you might be in a half moon pose, which we can work on. And if you have got a half moon pose, you can push away from the mat and maybe take that balancing hand. This is our challenge for tomorrow evening, to the chest. Take a moment here, step all the way back, warrior 2. Warrior 1, we look forwards, we lift up. Take a vinyasa or a child's pose to plank. Maybe knees come down, maybe we push the hips. We draw the nose all the way through to cobra. And we will meet in child's pose this time. So, or downward facing dog, if that's a really nice pose for you. Do you know what? It sometimes is a good pose just to stretch out as well as a counter pose. So downward facing dog or child's pose. Just allow in child's pose, if you are there, the hips just to drop back and the head maybe to come supported to the forehead. Just allow a moment here with the breath, allow the breath to settle. Draw yourself all the way up. We're going to come all the way. So sweep the feet to one side, come into our backs. Allow yourself to bring the feet in line with the hip points. So we've got this length all the way down. Walk the heels towards you. Come into bridge pose. So allow space between the chin and the chest. Maybe the hands are stabilizers. Lifting the hips, maybe you walk the feet towards you and you can grab the ankles. But wherever you are, keep the knees in line with the hip points and don't let them go out. So pushing through, you'll feel the glutes, the hamstrings engage here, lifting through the hips. Breathing, space between the chin and the chest. Releasing the hips. Allow the feet to come either side of the mat and just allow a little rotation here, a little windshield wiper. Maybe you come into a supine twist by bringing the feet stacked. Maybe it's just allowing the body just to unwind. Either from here, bringing the knees into the chest, which you might want to do just before you stretch. You might want to bring knees, roll on the base of the spine. Before either, you come to reclined butterfly. You could even cross the ankles coming into reclined pose, so like a reclined seated pose. Or you can stretch the legs long. You might be in a happy baby. You might be anything that suits you winding down from a practice. Wherever you are, just pausing. If that still involves movement, please just go ahead, that's fine. Just take a moment here, allowing yourself to observe how you feel. Before gently turning to one side and allowing yourself to draw all the way back up to a seated pose. Taking a moment, allow just the shoulders, lengthening that spine. It might be the neck that you're just dropping the chin to the collarbone. It might be you naturally go to a gentle twist. So I encourage you, whatever your practice, if you feel like you need to do something, please. Often you'll find that I'm moving and walking hands, and it's not just part of helping you to find your practice, but it actually helps me as well. So if I'm feeling something, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to stretch that way, then please do. Walking the hands gently back towards the knees. Maybe shrugging the shoulders, rolling the shoulders. And taking a moment back in seated. Hands to the heart. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm loving doing the power yoga sessions. They are going to continue. We're at the end of the block, can you believe? I know. So all of them are on, well, some of the ones I've recorded. I'll leave this recording just for a moment. are on YouTube. I'll pop this onto YouTube, I've got one from last week, so please do use them if you want to. And I'll send a wee booking form out for anybody who wants to join me. I don't know how many weeks before Christmas, but I'm going just to the week before, not the week of Christmas. And then I'll start back when the schools start back. So there'll be a wee break over Christmas, a couple of weeks. I'm going to just keep doing the power yoga on a Monday because I quite enjoy it. So there will be a class next week. Yeah, it'll be part of the new block. Is it? I don't want to say 3 weeks. Is it a 3? Is it? I think it's a 3-week block, Katrina. Right, so it's 3-week block. And what I'm also trying to do, and let me just switch recording off just for the moment.